Welcome. This is ADHD-friendly's episode 174. In this episode, I'm going to be sharing a celebration related to my personal owner's manual book that I have been in the process of creating. And I'm also going to update what I purchased this week. I have a tip about starting to prepare for summer vacation.
Ooh.
And then our main topic for today is ways that technology can be actually impacting your ADHD negatively, so making it worse. And then, of course, I'll share my book of the week. Right, so welcome. It is a time to celebrate, and it's a celebration I'm really trying to shift my perspective around, because the process of I'm self-publishing my personal owner's manual book. It's Create Your ADHD-Friendly Personal Owner's Manual. I have a print version and a digital version, an ebook that will be coming out. And the learning curve is steep. I mean, steep. It's a bunch of technology. It's a bunch of things I don't understand. I do have my amazing graphic designer who is thankfully doing the majority of the tech side of it. I just have to answer all of these prompts when I'm filling out the information to submit it. But it just keeps coming back with these there's something wrong with this file. There's something wrong with this format, and then trying to lay it out so the pages, when it's printed, lay out properly. It's just been a process. So it was originally supposed to be published when I originally set up the ISBN number, the ISBN, and the barcode, January 17th. Not January 17th, it's way past January 17th. So it will look like it published when it eventually comes out on January 17th. No, that I'm hoping it'll come out sometime in February. Hopefully by the time this episode airs, it will be available to purchase on Amazon, my website. I'm hoping it'll be everywhere. But I'm celebrating that I'm leaning into the process instead of getting frustrated and mad at myself for what I don't know and what I really couldn't have known. I'm really taking it as an opportunity to acknowledge there's a steep learning curve. I'm learning a lot. And I plan on doing this again with my planner. So I plan to do it with a planner.
Woo.
I'm going to sneeze.
Bless you.
Oh, I half sneezed. All right. That was a weird one. That was like those ones I used to you're going to edit off. I don't know. It was like those ones I used to be like, oh, come on, let it go.
Come on.
Little.
Yeah.
I don't do that. I have full on, I sneeze.
Oh.
Yeah. Gotta get you're getting the germs out. I don't want to get it on anybody else, but I don't want them staying to me. All right. I digress. So my mantra around my celebration for this is practice, and tomorrow you'll be better than today. I always think of that little saying from, I don't know if it was Barney, one of my kids' shows when they were little, but it just resonated so much with me, because if we do allow ourselves to be in that learning space, we will be better tomorrow. So I'm embracing that. So that's my celebration, just keeping that mindset open. And instead of judging myself and getting down, I'm enjoying it as much as I can. All right, now to what I purchased this week. All right. I purchased a few things that were wants, not needs. First, I'm going to highlight is my new eyeliner that I was just sharing when Becca came in. I apparently have an allergy to it. It is making my eyes just tear and water, and it feels like there's a cold breeze blowing in my face.
Ow.
Yeah. So that was my new one. So yeah, that's disappointing. I'm not quite sure what's going on because I've used it before, but now I'm sensitive to it. So I won't be using that anymore.
Change the formula?
It could be, but that was disappointing. I also got a new hairbrush because I should have had it in my hand here. Oh my gosh. I don't know when the last time you bought a brush was. I use my brushes forever. But why do I need a new brush? Well, I really didn't realize, because it happens slowly over time. You know, the little beads at the end of the bristles that are there. Not one bead was remaining. And so I've been killing my scalp without even really thinking about it, because it happened so slowly over time that when I brushed my hair with my new brush, I was like, it was like I was at a spa. I was like, oh my gosh, this is lovely. I couldn't believe it. So I ordered it just because I read an article about, what is a brush? I mean, I don't know. I didn't focus on it until I read the article. And I was like, oh, it's time to replace my hairbrush. So it was kind of a need.
Yeah.
And I have to say, after using it,
what kind did you get?
So I got one of those wet
Love a
hair-
wet brush.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which my other one was as well.
Yeah, those last two a while.
Well,
so.
I'm sure it wasn't meant to last as long as I've been using it, which is part of my challenge is I don't remember when I got it. I've had it for years. But the new one, and it was only $7.50, but I'll hold on to that thing forever. But oh my gosh, I think I hope I'll remember maybe next time when the beads start falling off. It's only $7.50, just get another one. But it was so interesting how much softer it was to my hair. So who knows how much hair I pulled out in the last
Your old brush.
like year or so using that old brush. So I got that, and then I got a new bra. You can't see it, but
Amazing.
it is. My girlfriend told me about it on a walk
Game
that her
changer.
daughter told her
Oh,
about.
good. What
So I
is it?
put it on Amazon. You know, oh,
We'll talk later.
it might be one of my favorite things because I have to say it is uplifting, it's supportive, it's not pinching, it's very
Ooh,
comfortable.
gotta love comfort.
And it looks nice underneath a t-shirt.
Oh.
It's a smooth, no lace or
nothing.
yep. So it's great for under a tee. It was $20.
And Amazon too. All right.
Yeah. I don't know.
Amazing.
I'm like, I can tell you. No, I didn't write that down. I wasn't expecting that question. I don't know why, but I wasn't. But
And I'm just a curious
well, and I'm
person.
just trying it out.
Yeah.
This
But
is
so-
my second day with it
Okay.
so far.
No
I'm
complaints.
I'm my only complaint is it's hard to clasp,
Oh, yeah.
but
That can
I
be
just
annoying.
do
Yeah.
it here and
So
then turn
front
it back around. Yeah.
That's
So that's what I did today. It was much easier because doing this, it's a 3 clasper.
get it.
Yeah. And I'm like, do I have the middle one in the right
Am I
thing?
allowed?
Is it, and there's like every quarter of an inch, so it's
Another
very,
class.
yeah. And here's the interesting thing. It came with an extension class. So like it came with
Ooh.
like another,
Yeah.
like 4 extensions
Oh,
where you
awesome.
just clip it to the
To
end.
really make sure it fits you.
Yeah. So if
around
you're
the
feeling
waist.
like you just need a little bit more space.
It's a little too tight.
Mhm.
I love that. It's a great feature.
Yeah, well, I was curious because it's only available in like small, medium, large. So I was like, well, how does that work? Well, it
With
comes because they come
Cup
with a
size
double.
and yeah.
Exactly. So I was like, that's quite
fun.
interesting. So I'll let you know what kind if I've decided. But let's
yeah,
make it
we're
seem like it's
keeping it.
intentional that I didn't know. Oh, no, I'm just not going to tell you yet. I'm gonna try it out first before I can say whether or not I recommend it.
There you go.
There it is. All right. So now for my ADHD friendly tip for this episode. Start prepping for your family's or your summer vacation.
Ooh.
It's February.
Yes.
Full disclosure, the article that I saw that recommended this came out in September.
Oh, that's
In
really
real simple. So like
planning
literally
ahead.
August being the end of traditional summer.
Yeah.
September, Real Simple magazine. This was 2024. So last
Wow.
September came out with this article. Start preparing now for summer vacation. I didn't even read it until, well, because it was like that
Right. It's
for
way
my
too
time
far.
horizon, that
Yeah.
was, I couldn't.
Yeah.
So it's February. I can, my time
Yeah.
horizon will stretch that far. So that's where I'm sharing it now. So I literally, I really know, I'm like, how neurotypical, because they're like, planning for summer vacation in September.
Yeah, whatever.
I would have been like, that's very neurodivergent because we're planning for summer vacation right then.
Right after
Like not for the
ended.
next summer,
Yeah.
for that summer. It just went by. So it's like, well, let me just see if I can squeeze it in right before the end of September before it's too late.
Good.
So, but no, they were talking about literally,
Following
10 months later. So here are some tips. If your time horizon is ready to start thinking about planning a trip for those summer months, before you do anything else to start,
Mhm.
this is going to be the hard thing to do because it's not very sparkly. Becca's very serious. She's like, okay, okay, tell me what. Set a budget. That I know the B word. Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, why even like but if you have a set amount, you have a way to filter, because if you don't have a regular place, you don't have a regular routine. If it's like, oh, our family always goes to this nature preserves and rents these great cabins and we do it every year, so it's just rinse and repeat, then you know how much it costs. You know that fits in your budget if you've been doing it over and over, whatever. But if you're going to be planning, like, I don't know where we're going to go, and it's just the world is our oyster, we're just going to look, and what if you find something really sparkly, but then it's like, well, this is sounding like it's a great deal, act now, but you don't know if it really fits in your budget. I want to support you to take a vacation that doesn't give you remorse afterwards, because or you're on it and you're like, this is fun, but oh, I don't want to see the bill when I get home. Oh, I don't want to think about, like, I want you to really enjoy it. So set a budget, like just have an amount in mind. And because it's February, you can start maybe squirreling away a little bit of money.
Yeah.
I
Totally.
always think of it as like a Christmas fund or something where you're just like, okay,
Ooh.
just, what do you have right now you can set aside? Is there an automatic amount every month you can set aside into a specific account for your vacation? So it's not getting tapped into,
Yeah.
or you forget what that money was earmarked for and you see something else on sale or something and you're like, and they're like, oh, that was the vacation. So have a separate savings account, a separate place to keep it. And each week or each month, put a little money aside to start getting that money that you're earmarking for it. But having a set goal in mind, even if it isn't where you end up, sometimes it's just having a way to navigate that can help. So let's say you're like, I have $1,000 to go on vacation this summer. So we'll be driving, not flying. We'll be going for, 5 days, 4 nights instead of 7, like whatever, it just gives you a little bit of a framework to start filtering through. And then explore possible vacation options. So maybe you start thinking about where, when, how long you're going to go, if it's going to be an active vacation with lots of excursions and things you're going to be doing, or if it's going to be, we just want to go get a house on the lake and swim and paddle board and canoe or whatever. Like we just want to hang out by the lake and read books.
Yeah.
Very different things. So kind of get a sense for what you're looking for. And then once you have an idea of what you want to do, depending on how popular what you want to do is, it might be that you can't find that exact thing right now. That can create some urgency for summer 2026. It could be that you're like, oh, this is like still available because it's only February. I still have time to grab this. So check your timeline and see if you are in a good spot to reserve something, if there's time to consider other options. I always say, like, if you're thinking about like going to Disney World, probably too late.
Right.
Honestly, like the way that it's set up right now, if you haven't planned it minimum of 6 months in advance, a lot of times a year in advance, it's just not really feasible. It's just not the impromptu kind of trip that is easy to do anymore. So looking at your timelines is next. Then, depending on if you are driving, flying, renting a car, start looking at reservations. So check out hotel accommodations. It could be that everything fits, but then when you go to check hotel or airfare or rental car prices, there could be for some reason like some kind of conference in town and all of the hotels are already booked.
Yeah. Right. That's what you do.
Right. So it might be that this one place you're doing has availability, but there's no accommodations for the things that for you, either the flight or the, hotel or the rental cars. So start looking at those to see again where they fit in. If you're going to reserve, make sure that you can cancel without a penalty, like find out what the rules are so that if you want to go ahead and reserve it, see sometimes, with hotels, they'll let you hold it for 24 hours or 48 hours before they charge your card. Sometimes you can hold it until 24 hours before the actual stay and still cancel without, but confirm what the rules are so that whatever it is and write them down. Keep a whole like log of what you're doing for your vacation so that it stays sparkly and you're staying connected to the decisions that you made and what still needs to be done. And then add any deadlines to your calendar. So if you say reserve a car or reserve a hotel or an airfare, and there's an amount of time that you have a window to cancel or to take advantage. So sometimes it's like, well, hold this fare for you for this long, but you don't want to have to depend on your brain to prompt you. You want to write it down so you can kind of offload that working memory and make room for other things, but know that you're going to be prompted when you need to remember to take action. So really the tip is to start mapping out a plan, start thinking about it, get a calendar out, just kind of maybe explore if it's a busy time for you or anybody else that would be going with you. I have a couple of my kiddos that work in the school system, so I have to be mindful that we'd be going where any other family would be going, that the kids are off in the summertime. So keeping those kinds of things in mind, like when does their school get out? When does their school go back? So we can, look at right before, right after, like find the easy spot to pin it down. But what I want to support you to do is to think about if you would like to take a trip and if you've struggled to implement what your intentions are, just give yourself a chance to think about it now, put any structure in place, mark any deadlines that would help you to follow through so that you have an opportunity to do something, because something is more than nothing, and then notice what worked. And you can always continue evolving your plans so that each year you're getting a little bit more aware of what works for you, what works for your family, or whoever you're traveling with, so that it becomes easier to plan that time for yourself to recharge. All right, on to our main topic for today, and that is ways technology use can make your ADHD worse. I'm going to share 8. So this came from research that was shared in the times.com article that showed that technology does not have to be all or nothing. Our brains are so wired for all or nothing. There are ways it can help us. So I'm going to focus on the ways that it's actually amplifying potentially some of your ADHD challenges, to just highlight what could be going on and give you a chance to explore if that might be true for you, what you might do about it to minimize that negative impact. So the article shared a recent study was published in the online journal Nature Human Behavior. It included nearly 90,000 adults over 23 countries, and it found that internet use was associated with 9% reduction in depressive symptom scores. So that's a positive. Yeah. It showed a 7% increase in life satisfaction scores and a 15% rise in self-reported health. So just how people perceive themselves. Yeah. For that last 15%, it was a 50 and older age group that represented that 15% rise in self-reported health scores. Ooh. So I said, go 50 plusers. Yeah. Like, that's amazing.
That's great.
So this was compared to those who rarely or never went on the internet.
Okay. Yeah.
So overall, it has some positive benefits. And then according to Dr. Ruth Plackett, who is a senior researcher fellow at the University College of London, and this is a quote, she says, being online can be a positive experience, but only if you are intentional about how you navigate and use the digital landscape. There's that word, intentional, right? So what should we be looking out for to minimize the impact if you have ADHD? And that's what I want to highlight. So I've got 8 tips here. Number 1, how it impacts your sleep.
Oh, yeah.
I'm laughing because I can hear this, my little pug. So sleep time before bed can interfere, or screen time, I'm sorry, before bed can interfere with your natural sleep-wake cycle. So we all know about the blue light and all that. So just adding an hour of tech-free time to your sleep hygiene routine, to that settling, kind of transitioning from wake to sleep, can really be beneficial. Or maybe you swap out your evening screen time and read or journal or both, right? So you're doing something that is satisfying, but it's not tied to viewing screens of any kind, including TV, your phone, laptop, anything. So that's the first, being aware of how it's impacting, if it is impacting your sleep. Number 2, it can also lead to increased distractions and kind of a lower attention span, which makes sense, right? It's dinging. I have a text. Oh, do I have a new email? Oh, is there a new sale? Right? It's just constant bombardment of info. So social media apps, online shopping, news, all of those things can be set to alert us to new things. I never have audible alerts. And it's funny because my husband does. And I swear, just hearing his is so, I'm like, oh my gosh.
What is that?
I'm like, what's happening? What's happening? It feels like I'm under attack every time it goes off. What is that?
So negative.
And he's like, nothing. I just had a text from my brother. I'm like, all right. So I don't like the audible personally. Does not work for me, so I don't have it going on.
I keep my phone on vibrate, so I don't really have to hear it ding, and that's my thing that way.
Well, all of these things are designed to capture your attention.
Oh, trying to get
so they're literally intentionally trying, because that's their business. Right. They're not doing well with their advertisers if they're not capturing your attention. So constant updates and notifications are not helping our brain to focus and minimize distractions. So with ADHD, this can really have a significant impact, because remember, our ability to sustain focus is already impacted. Our impulsivity is already potentially a challenge in lots of areas of our life. So here are some possible ways to mitigate that. Experiment with focus enhancing apps. 2 of my favorites, one in Freedom, I've not used myself, but I've had a lot of my clients use the Freedom app over the years to block sites that are distracting to them. Ooh. So when they go on, they can't access those sites for a specific amount of time. You set the parameters, you decide which sites you don't want to be able to get onto. So it basically is stopping you. It's almost like draining your car of gas. It's there, it works, but it's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
And the other is the Forest app, which that was like one of my favorites, that you get to plant a tree when you follow your plan and not going on to your phone for a set amount of time.
Cool.
So it's like, it's recognizing that, hey, you said you didn't want to go on it from this time to this time. I like it for like, supporting you during the day. Like, I'm not going to go on from 2 to 4. Yeah. And so if you don't go on it from 2 to 4, you get a little tree, you plant it, and you start growing a forest. Forest app. Yeah, exactly. It's like that positive reward, hitting your reward center. Another option is just to enable the do not disturb mode so that your phone is not notifying you. I know that can create, we have this sense of, but what if somebody needs me?
Like the urgency.
Yeah. So that can be difficult. So it might be notifying people in advance that you're not going to be available.
Right.
Because you've set this up so you can focus on your work if that helps you to do it. And then another option is phone jail, which is just those little safes that you can get to lock you can see your phone. If there's an emergency, you can keep your phone upright where you can just access like the emergency dial option, but you really can't push any of the buttons to access any social apps or anything. But you decide how much time you want to lock it up. And then you'll hear the little like when it unlocks, which is very satisfying. I'm ready to use it again. So these things just, again, take the willpower out of the equation and allow you to follow through with your intention. All right, number 3, there is a link between smartphone addiction and ADHD symptoms. Now, this really isn't shocking because of what we know, right? We're impulsive, we're seeking stimulation to fire up, our brains are understimulated. So intuitively, this makes sense to me. Challenges with ADHD. So just setting in screen limits. Now I have to say, I have screen limits set up on my phone. I almost always dismiss them. I mean, as soon as they pop up, I'm like, it's like, would you like to pause this for an hour or would you like to dismiss for the day? I'm like, I just dismiss it for the day.
See ya.
So that doesn't work for me. Even though they're set up and I still see them, they don't work for me. But that is an option to see if it works for you. And that's just in your phone settings or in an app. You also might just establish phone-free zones. So it could be that you're like, okay, the kitchen table is a phone-free zone. Leave your phones here. If you're in a family, you might want to set up like a charging center so that it's pulling people in, like, okay, if we're going to come in and sit down and eat, we're going to charge our phones during that time. So we're being present, but it can feel like, okay, but the phone's getting charged while I'm doing that. So it's okay. If you need more, maybe you ask for help if you need it. So if it really does feel like it is an addiction that you can't get away from your phone, seeking professional help could be the next step if you need more support. To get a little more balance with your phone. It's hard because they're everywhere all the time.
Always.
It's really, really challenging. Okay, the 4th one. It can actually impact your social interactions. So people with ADHD already have often impacted social skills. And challenges with kind of reading body language, taking turns in conversations, recognizing if somebody's kind of getting glazed over by the same topic that we're talking about. All of those things can be challenges for us. So over-reliance on communicating digitally can actually get in the way of those skill sets of face-to-face communication. So you can, if you think about like over the pandemic, this was a big thing. Like we kind of, those muscles got weaker, where we weren't feeling as confident. We didn't have the regular practice. We still understood how to do it, but we maybe lost a little bit of the sharpness of that skill. So I know for me, I said, like, if you look back at earlier episodes of this podcast, I had very intentional social goals that I made to get myself back out there because I was creating a lot of that like social anxiety, if you will, where I was feeling very hesitant and very nervous about
putting yourself out there
and being aware of, am I oversharing? Am I dominating the conversation? Am I jumping in and saying something because it's funny in my mind, but when I say it, it's not really funny or appropriate in this setting. So having that regular chance to practice was important for me. So maybe exploring what you would need to help practice your social skills. And honestly, it could be getting a coach to help you to work on your social skills, to kind of practice together and get little like ways to pause and pay attention and observe, then jump in and that kind of thing. So, and then the other thing could just be setting limits on your social media use. So I shared when I got my new phone. Next month, it'll be a year I've had my phone. I intentionally did not download the Instagram app on it. So I can't access it.
Yeah,
I have to say, I have not missed it. I have not one little percent of me is like, oh, I really miss having that now that I'm talking about that.
Yeah.
If anything, it's just validation that I really didn't need it. And I really felt like I had honed it and only had positive things showing up in my feed, and that I was just enjoying it. When I go on it, it would make me laugh. And that's true. But I don't miss whatever I thought I was getting from it.
Yeah.
It wasn't where I do miss, like, when I'm connecting with people. And so there is something that I was surprised to notice when I didn't sign in. So I still don't have it on my phone, and I have no interest in logging into it and going back to that. All right, number 6, there is increased risk of anxiety and depression with technology. So research shows that right, this is all about balance. Excessive screen time is associated with higher rates of both. So these frequently occur with ADHD by themselves. It is both anxiety and depression are frequent coexisting conditions, but technology can further impact that or raise the prevalence of it. So limiting your exposure to social media. So like my example, just deleting the app on the phone, where you can still get it on your tablet or laptop or something, but not on your phone, could be something to explore. Follow positive accounts, like I mentioned before. Like I was really like stop. I just didn't follow anything that made, even if it wasn't a negative account, but it made me feel
like
negative.
the news, right?
Yeah, or even if it was just somebody that the way they shared things just grated on me.
Yeah.
Or they posted all the time. Even if it was positive, it was, or like they got really in your face and they were like, you gotta do this all. Like they were like really, and I was just like, oh my gosh,
it's aggressive.
It's too much. So just paying attention to what works for you and what doesn't, so you're not following the things that trigger you or make you feel more stressed and tense. And then maybe incorporating some mindfulness apps like Calm or Headspace. So you're intentionally using technology to help ground you and lower your stress and reconnect to what you're trying to intentionally bring into your life. All right, almost there. Number 7. The negative impact it can have is real on both work performance and school performance. So excessive use of technology can lead to procrastination, and it can reduce your productivity. So when you think about using technology, really think about what productivity tools would help you to use it intentionally and get what you need from it, but not have it get in the way of what you really do need to get done. So it could be like using timers, things to support your focus, whether you're doing schoolwork or you're at work. Using like Pomodoro technique or physical like time timer, something that can actually help you to be aware of, okay, I'm giving myself a 5-minute technology break. I'm going to go look at, Facebook, social media, whatever, Twitter, whatever you're going to do. Set a timer so you're aware of how much time has gone by and you can shift back like you're intended, instead of losing time and being like, oh my gosh, I'm late for that meeting I was supposed to be in. That was 2 hours more likely. Reward yourself for completing tasks without digital interruptions. So make it sparkly, incentivize it. Or keep in mind how much time it takes to refocus. So research shows it takes 13 to 15 minutes.
After looking at social media?
So once you're into a focused state, so you're in the middle of something, you're figuring, and you've got it all in your head, and you're really zoned in. Let's say you get a text message. Like, oh, wonder what that is. It takes you 13 to 15 minutes to get back into that same level of focus. With ADHD, that amount of energy we have to get focused is already impacted. So we have less. I always think it was like a full cup. And I like to visually be like, okay, so now like your cup's half full. Now your cup's here. It's like you're draining all of your energy force with distractions. And when we understand how much energy, and this is what gets in the way of us starting, is just thinking about how much energy it's going to take to get us in. We want to protect our brain once we're in it so that we don't have to, I always call that rework. We don't have to go back in and do it again. So thinking about how do you minimize the impact of that? So it's not getting in your way of, I didn't get that work project done because, oh my gosh, I was playing, Words with Friends and I got, whatever it is. It's like, it's so sparkly. It's so much more interesting than that project I was working on, or I was looking at this spreadsheet and I was seeing double, it's like, I get it, but making sure it's not derailing you in ways that just aren't going to help you to get where you're trying to do the things you're trying to do. All right, finally, number 8. This one I had to look up. So it's called Bi-Directional Worsening of Symptoms. I know, I was like, what does that mean? So it says existing ADHD symptoms can lead to increased screen time, which in turn exacerbates the ADHD symptoms. So it's basically that negative spiral. So you have ADHD, which makes it difficult to regulate that, and it's impacted by screen time because it's so sparkly that it's going to impact it. So it's just going round and round. So some strategies for this are to schedule screen breaks throughout the day. So again, set it and forget it. It's kind of like, oh, it's lunchtime, I don't go on my screen. Or it's lunchtime, that's the one time I go on my screen and I'm not on it in the morning until lunch, whatever it is. Increased friction. I've shared this a lot. So make it harder to access the screen. So whether it's like my phone, I can go on Instagram, it's on my computer.
Right.
Do you know how many times I'm on my computer and I think, oh, let me go to Instagram.com. Let me sign into my account. Let me look. No, it doesn't happen. But it can. I don't want to because it takes more effort.
Yeah, it does. So, you have to log in.
Yeah, so it's just very unlikely I'm going to be on there. You might, I always use the remote control as the example. Put it in another room. Right? Or put it in the lockbox, like put it somewhere that you can, in the garage. You can get to it, but it's going to require you to make a conscious decision and not just automatically default mode be on it. And then the phone jail, those kinds of things, like locking it up, putting it away. And then ask yourself, this is the last tip, if your brain is craving stimulation. So if you're like, okay, what is it that I'm looking for right now? If you're thinking about picking up your phone, am I looking to stimulate my brain? And if that's the case, have a dopamine menu, have a list of things that you can do to get your brain that stimulation it's seeking in more intentional ways. Technical is going to be the fastest, easiest. Remember, our brains are wired for efficiency. We want to go for that ease. But if it in the end is going to be making the ADHD challenges even more challenging, having a way to easily tap into something else like a dopamine menu, a list of things that you enjoy that work for your brain so that you can do it without screens and you can do it with ease. Make it easy for your brain to pick something else. That's it. That was a lot of talking. I hope that there was something in there you found helpful. Again, 174 is this episode if you want to share any tips that have worked for you, or if you try something out and you want to share your experience. Now for the book of the week. So this is called Funny Story. It's by Emily Henry. And I didn't write. Oh, no, I did. I was like, I didn't write that when it comes out. I did. So this comes out in April. So I got a pre-copy, which I have to say is really, really fun.
I like Emily Henry, the author. She does like rom-coms kind of, right? Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was really, really sweet. It was a funny story. And just
so it's a new one coming out?
It's a new one that's coming out in April.
Ooh.
Or April of 2024. Or maybe it came out in April of 2024.
Oh, but still a newer book then.
Oh, I apologize. Yeah, it was last April. So it's not a pre-read. It was it's a newer book. So it's not quite a year old. And it was rated a must-read book of 2024 by Time and Elle magazine. So it was enjoyed all around. So in this book, Daphne always loved the way her fiance Peter told their story, how they met on a blustery day, how they fell in love over an errant hat, and they moved back to his lakeside hometown to begin their life together. He was really good at telling it right up until the moment he realized he was actually in love with his childhood best friend, Petra.
Oh gosh.
So it kind of derails. That's the opening. It's exactly what happens in the first chapter. I am not spoiling anything, but it's a very sweet story. It takes place in near Traverse City, Michigan, which ironically, my husband wants us to go on a trip sometime this year to see it because he says it's beautiful. Have you been?
No, I mean, I've heard of it. I know it's gorgeous.
Well, I know they get a lot of snow, which you know I love.
Yeah.
But it's right on the lake. I don't remember if it's Lake Michigan or Lake Superior. I'm not sure. I don't know, but it's like right on the lake. There. And apparently it's like just south of Canada.
Yeah.
So they get like enormous amounts of snow, like 3 or 4 times more than we get here in Chicago, which again is very slick. So that is the book for this week that I thoroughly enjoyed. And I apologize, I don't have a quote for this week. And I'm like, how do I not have a quote? I'm like, my book is not here. I can't even make it. I don't have a book. I'm so sorry. Or I don't have a quote. I'm so sorry. And there's no quote even in my little notes about the book that I can pull out. So there's no quote this week, but that's okay. I've already gone long on this episode. If you subscribe to my newsletter, there will be a quote in the newsletter so you can see what I intended to have. I just didn't write it down here, so I apologize. But you know, there's no There's no perfect. There's just noticing, oh, that's interesting. Apparently my brain got distracted before I nailed down the quote and I didn't even realize it. But that's it for this episode 174. As always, take what works for you, leave the rest behind. If you're looking for more support to help you to thrive with ADHD, check out my membership community, ADHD-friendly.com, for $95 a month, or for an annual membership of $950, you get 2 months free. You'll have access to all of my on-demand content, courses, tools, and lots of live events each month to support you to take action and implement what you intend to do. So we're intending things and I help you to implement them. Meet that rubber meet in the road. It's where that sweet spot that I know so much of us struggle, and I really want to help people to do more of what they're intending to do. Until next time, tally ho.